Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm here today to tell you about my plans for Nonfiction November. Here on BookTube, Nonfiction November is hosted by a book Olive. She's been hosting it since 2015, and she says in this year's introduction video that this is the last year that she's hosting it. Now, I'm relatively new to BookTube. I joined a few years ago, but I've been doing Nonfiction November for almost a decade. I think I started around 2017, not on YouTube, but in the blogging world. So there's another version of Nonfiction November in the blogging world that originally it was hosted by 5 different bloggers. The mix kind of changes from year to year. I'm not sure who's hosting it this year, but there's always 4 to 5 bloggers who host it. They have a different topic to cover on your blog each week, which I never get around to doing, but also, of course, reading nonfiction. So I've been doing that for a long time, and once I joined BookTube, started participating in a Book Olive's Nonfiction November as well. So this year, Olive has 4 challenge words, as she usually does. The words this year are code, path, shot, and join. And she says you can interpret those 4 words any way you want, and she gave a lot of good examples in her video, so check that out. I'll link that down below. So what I did was I went through the nonfiction part of my waiting to be read bookcase. There's an entire bookcase. And we recently have been going through our bookcases and rearranging and cleaning things up a bit. So I did put all the nonfiction books together, which made this much easier this year. But I have a huge audio backlog. Mostly audios that I've received for review, and so I plugged that hard drive in. It's got its own separate drive, and I took a look at the nonfiction books that I've got sitting on that drive and on audio, and I picked out some of those as well. My print books are more or less what I plan to read. The audios are more a virtual pile of possibilities. So it's kind of a mix of things today. As background, I don't read a lot of nonfiction the rest of the year. I do try to read some, although I think this year I've only read 2. A collection of essays by M.F.K. Fisher, and middle grade graphic novel memoir of a girl who was living in Poland during the Holocaust. Just ignore that tapping sound you may hear in the background. Somehow I am recording on another very windy day, and the big skull that we've got hanging on our front door for Halloween bangs in the wind. So sorry about that. Okay, so Olive's first word was code. I found a couple of books that could fit this. On audio, Ordinary Girls, a memoir by Jakira Diaz. So she is a Puerto Rican immigrant. So it's kind of a coming-of-age story. She came of age in both Puerto Rico and Miami. She was, as a girl, struggling with her mother's mental illness, schizophrenia, I believe, and also her own sexual identity. Now, by the way the blurb was written, it sounded like some of her struggles were because of the sort of code of masculinity in Hispanic and Puerto Rican culture. So that's how I took code to refer to this book. That one's on audio. I also have Tell Me More by Kelly Corrigan. I've only read one Kelly Corrigan book before. It's green with a butterfly on the front. I can't remember the name of it. but I'll put it up here for you. This one is stories about the 12 hardest things I'm learning to say. So it's 12 connected essays. I love listening to Kelly Corrigan. I've heard her quite a few times now on various podcasts, including her own. And I love the way she speaks, what she talks about. She's very honest and authentic. She gets in deep with real life things. I know she's written a lot about grief over losing her father, which I can certainly relate to. But at the same time, she is very, very funny. She's got a great sense of humor. And if you watch my channel at all, you know that means a lot to me. So I'm looking forward to this one. Olive's next challenge word is path. I have several that might work for this. On audio, I have Gulp, Adventures on the Alimentary Canal by Mary Roach. That is certainly a path. I've never read a Mary Roach book. I also have her one about animals committing crimes upstairs because it was our All County Reads book last year. And I haven't gotten to that yet either, but I might tackle the audio one this year because I think I'll have more time for that. So Path, another one that I thought would fit really well and I'm very interested in reading or listening to is Nowhere for Very Long, The Unexpected Road to an Unconventional Life by Brianna Madia. It's about her experiences traveling in a van across the American West, and that sounds fabulous to me. I mean, I love road trips, I love travel, I love camping, so this sounds right up my alley. I remember downloading the audio and thinking, I'm going to love this, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. So Nonfiction November is a great chance. And I have the perfect nonfiction book in print for the challenge word path, Leave Only Footprints. My Acadia to Zion Journey Through Every National Park by Connor Knighton. I gave this to my husband for Christmas last year. He loved it, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. We love national parks. We love, as I just said, travel and road trips and camping. We've been to a lot of national parks, but we still have a lot more to go, and I'm really looking forward to this. This may be my first book for Nonfiction November because we're planning to go camping, our last trip of the season in early November, so this would be perfect. Olive's next challenge word is shot. Had a little more trouble with this one, but I've got an audio, Johnny Get Your Gun by John Tucker, which is a memoir of World War I. Now, I was hoping, as a memoir of World War I, that this would count as a classic as well, because I'm way behind on my annual classics challenge. But it was actually originally published in 1978, so just a few years shy of a classic. But it sounds interesting. First-person account, basically a coming-of-age story during war. So that sounds fascinating. In print, I have Dead Wake by Eric Larson. This is about a very big shot that took down the ocean liner, the Lusitania. I love Eric Larson. I haven't read one of his books in years. Every Nonfiction November I say I'm going to, and I end up not getting to it. So I really want to get to this year. And finally, Olive's fourth challenge word is join. I have several different options here. On audio, I have Here We Are, American Dreams, American Nightmares by Arti Namdev Shahani. The author and her father, well, I guess her whole family were immigrants from India. They moved here from India by way of Casablanca. They were undocumented for a few difficult years until they finally got their green cards, and then they thought their troubles were over. But apparently they weren't. So the subtitle, American Dreams, American Nightmares, refers to two different people in her own family. Herself, who was kind of living the American dream. Don't be alarmed. That's our Halloween clock. Apologies for the seasonal interruptions today. So anyway, this book, here we are, American Dreams, American Nightmares, sounds excellent. And she reads it herself on audio, so I'm sure that would be very good. The other audio, and join, of course, because they were joining the country of America and hoping to join the American dream. The other audiobook I have lined up, I think I'm going to listen to first in November. Read Dangerously, The Subversive Power of Literature in Troubled Times by Azir Nafisi. She is the author, of course, of Reading Lolita and Tehran, which my book group and I loved. Here, and I'm going to read you the quote for why I put it in the category of join. She now lives in America. She's taught literature both in Iran and in America. She's talking about here specifically about our troubled times in terms of politics, the divisiveness right now. We'll see how I'm feeling after the election, but I would really like to listen to what she has to say. So here's an excerpt from the blurb. She crafts an argument for why, in a genuine democracy, we must engage with the enemy and how literature can be a vehicle for doing so. So I thought that was perfect for join. And one more book in print, Upstream by Mary Oliver. These are not poems, they're essays, which I didn't realize when I first bought it. I wanted a book of Mary Oliver poetry because I haven't read much poetry. And the Book Cougars, my favorite podcast, and friends of mine, had read some Mary Oliver poems on their podcast, and I really liked them. And I liked her focus on nature. So I did end up getting a Mary Oliver book of poetry in April for Poetry Month, and I did read the whole thing and enjoyed it very much. This is a book of essays. It says it's a collection of essays in which revered poet Mary Oliver reflects on her willingness to lose herself within the beauty and mysteries of the natural world and the world of literature. So, I mean, right up my alley. I love nature. I love reading. Really looking forward to this. I've been saving it for Nonfiction November. Obviously, this could also fit under Path, but I also thought it made sense under Join, for joining together with nature and literature. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. So those are my plans for Nonfiction November, including my virtual pile of possibilities on audio. I would love to hear what you're reading in November. Do you plan to participate in Nonfiction November? If so, are there any particular books that you are interested in? And please, if you have read or listened to any of the books I've mentioned, let me know in the comments down below.